My name is Brian Mandeville. I've been brewing professionally for almost 10 years now. Before I was here, I was actually at Strange Ways Brewing in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I was the head brewer of that location. Previously, before that, been working as the head brewer of Full Steam Brewery in Durham, North Carolina. So I've always liked cleaner beers with big amounts of wheat, and a wheat wine kind of takes that to an extreme because you end up with just there's not a lot else going on in the beer. There's not you're not aggressively hopping it. You don't have really pronounced spicy yeast character. So it's so much of the flavor and the aroma is driven just by wheat. That and around this time of year, as the weather starts to get colder, I kind of like on occasion a bigger kind of chewier beer, and so barley wines really fall into that category. The other side of the challenge lays on the technical end of it, which is that we brew ours with 50% wheat. If I thought I could get away with more, I would. But wheat, due to the structure of the grain, it doesn't have a really well-defined hull structure like barley does. So when you grind it, you end up with, or mill it, you end up with something closer to flour than like your kind of standard grist or mixture of grain for brewing. So when you mix that with water, you're much more likely to end up with dough than you are a mash. Kicker here is that then you're going to also brew a really high ABV beer. So now you're filling your mash tun as full as you can get it, which provides its own set of challenges and increases the chances you're going to have issues lautering. And then you're combining that with the fact that it's 50% wheat. And there's things you can do to mitigate that and make it easier to deal with, but it just ends up being a beer that's prone to giving you a lot of trouble. Lautering it was a nightmare, and it definitely gummed up pretty bad on me. And we did everything we could to prevent that, but to some extent, it's just the nature of brewing that style. Before I worked at Fine Creek, most of the brewing I had done professionally had been at production breweries that were really focused on distribution and putting a lot of beer out the door. And the kind of negative side of that is that you end up really having to focus a lot on what's going to sell in distribution and kind of what your distributors are looking for. So it means that you're kind of strung a little bit about what you can and can't brew. So here at Pine Creek, because we're so much smaller and our focus is so much more on kind of direct-to-consumer, like the experience of people coming out here, it's so much easier for me to kind of brew what I'd like to. And then the other side of that is that because we're on such a smaller scale, we can be a little more adventurous and take a little more risks when it comes to, if a batch doesn't maybe sell as well as we had hoped, a single batch for us is only 3 barrels of beer, so it's not a huge risk to take